Welcome back to another episode of Real Boring Flips. We are out at a estate sale. This was a kind of a packed house. I just walked in and realized my camera was off, of course. I'd been to this company, to estate sales from this company before, and I expected chaos, and I got it. What I didn't expect was after all the crowd rushed in, that would just be sitting there. These fellows are going after tools, and they just walked right past this boring box. This is the specialty of Real Boring Flips, is the stuff that gets passed over, doesn't look like it has any value, and I've sold these before, and I knew what the value was. So if you have a generator and you want it hooked up to your house, you need some sort of switch like this. So I'm going to patiently wait to see how much this is going to cost and see if I could stow it somewhere. So $50 to me was fine. I've bought, not this brand, but I've bought these transfer switches, just the switch itself, no accessories, for $80 and still made good money. So $50 was fine. Once you get that first price, because almost nothing in this house was priced, there were a few things, but once you get that first price out of the people doing the sale, then you have a feel for what it's going to be like. So in my mind, it was game on after that, because $50 I thought was pretty fair. Anytime I find these cases of cassettes, I look for cassettes that are valuable, which there are a few, not a lot, but there are a few. But I also look for like home recorded cassettes, but high-end cassettes. And I did find one here, pretty good one. To me, this crowd was more of a I'm just out looking to buy stuff to put in with my stuff that I've got, not resellers. I think I saw maybe one or two resellers in the time I was there. Not a lot, though. Now, I walked right past this skillet, but I did come back in later and found it. I don't know how I missed it there. But I like those electric skillets of all various kinds. I ended up paying $15 for that one. Excuse me. This sale was chaotic because they had two entrances. So a lot of people were lined up at the garage, and then a lot of people were lined up at the front door. So I think all the people that wanted to get into the kitchen first went that way, and the people that wanted into the garage first went in the lower section. And then at some point they opened the garage earlier than the kitchen. So always chaotic, but always fun at these kinds of estate sales. Those guys were using the crowd method. I couldn't get in there to look at anything because they were blocking me out. Like Kareem down on the low post there. They mentioned books. I ended up looking at those books. Did not see anything really that was going to be worth my time. I was hoping to find maybe a flip clock radio. Didn't see any of those. I looked at that ink, but I'm kind of done with ink, I think. Ink, I think, yeah. This was actually a pretty big house. I thought about grabbing that little radio, but I just didn't want to. I've already got one that hasn't sold yet, and You got to poke through closets, and that looked like fabric. The listing advertised some fabric and sewing machines, and one of the resellers that I saw I was sure was going to go after those sewing machines. I'm not a big sewing machine guy. There were a few records in here. I was going to grab a couple. I found out later that they were asking $5 a record. Now that's my insane Goodwill price. And these were the triple C's. No vintage soap. I look at blank CDs, DVDs, just to see if there's any that I can use. I have a lot of different recorders, so if you have a music CD burner, you need those special CDR music discs to use, so I kind of keep a supply of those so I can bundle those. So this was a weird little hallway bookcase, and I was kind of hoping there was a lot of football, a lot of Super Bowl books and things. I was just hoping to find a random Super Bowl ticket stub just stuck in there. We went to the Super Bowl this year, and I was sad to find out that you didn't get a ticket this year. You just got an electronic ticket, but you could buy. They had a service where you could have a ticket stub printed for you. But we still have our ticket stub from the previous Super Bowl we went to. They were sealed packs of paper. I thought about grabbing those, but I got a bunch of that stuff, and I don't even remember the last time I used any kind of paper like that. I thought about grabbing this Bible. I probably should have, because it hadn't been written in. That would have been a good pickup, I'm sure. I'm still dealing with this tendonitis in my elbow, and that just would have been a heavy thing to cart around. And I didn't do a walk up to this sale, but we had to park way out and then walk up a very long driveway to get to this house. And so I was just expecting to have to carry things a long ways. That was a Roku that they had priced at $40. That seemed a little excessive. It was just a basic Roku. And in the photos there was a VCR underneath here, but it's already gone. Again, I thought about getting this Blu-ray player, but I like to get those when they're about $2, and I probably would have had to pay $15 for this one. So we passed on that one. I've got a stack of Blu-ray players here that I need to get listed. So this sale went 2 days. This was the first day. And I noticed that they've got it advertised again for next weekend. So I could go back and probably still find some things. I did find this. In fact, I've already sold this. This was one of those things that this is how you want your reselling business to go. You buy it one day, you list it the next day, and it sells that day. I took a $60 offer. I felt comfortable getting $16. In the end, I think I paid about $10 for it. There were some odd-sized batteries. I try to grab those. Anything that I think I might need, those did not look like something I might need. So this was the game slash vacuum closet. And this gentleman, he was really going after these games. And I just wanted to look at the vacuum. So I waited for him to finish up. And then I could see down in there that there was a Miele vacuum. I'm going to grab those. I missed out on one at an estate sale. A couple that was trying to decide if they wanted to buy it, and I tried to buy it out from underneath them, and they ended up buying it. So I've got some awkward stuff to carry and lug around now. So I have sold these complete. I think you're better off just selling them in pieces, because I think the parts sell quicker than a complete vacuum. And as you'll see in the haul, this vacuum has a little bit of sun fading on it for some weird reason. I don't know. It wasn't in the closet for some period of time, but it had the power nozzle, it had the hose, it had the wand, it had all the attachments. So I think I'll still be able to get something for the vacuum, the main motor piece itself. I grabbed that because there wasn't another vacuum in there that went to, and it didn't look like a Miele piece, and it wasn't. So if you were looking for that, sorry. I did come back and look through those games. In fact, I'm not sure if I'm doing that right now or not, but I did end up getting a couple of games. One, the batteries were rotted out. The other one's probably not worth anything. So, bummer deal on that. I looked at that. It was actually, I didn't know what it was. It was a coffee carafe of some sort, but a plastic one, no name on it. I did end up getting that, and unfortunately the batteries had rotted through the terminal. It faked me out because it did turn on, the light turned on, but the battery had already been shot. I need to remember to just carry a little set of tools. Actually, I had a screwdriver on my knife, but I should have taken that apart. So I also saw this in the photos, and I had looked it up already. It's a JVC turntable, and they wanted $50 for it, which from my comps, if it was in really nice shape or new even, I think $50 would be good.
Can I just ask you a question about the record player? It's all sealed. Do you know what it...
I'll cut it open for you.
So
Yeah.
if you enjoy this kind of content, please consider liking the video, and if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing and checking that notification bell so you can see when we have new videos coming out. Really appreciate everyone for liking, subscribing, sending comments, and sharing these videos with other people that you think may also enjoy them.
Did you find one? I always bring
I thought
one.
it would be so much easier. Did you get yours? I thought, well, it's right inside.
And that was not the factory seal. I did look that in case you're wondering, hey, you just let her factory seal that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
The reason I knew it wasn't a factory seal is later on I looked a little closer and you could see a second piece of tape there. But inside they had actually put in a new cartridge in a little package that has a cartridge in it. And so the comps that I had, there weren't any sold new. There is a listing for a new open box for about $200. But I've got the cartridge now, so I may still list mine for $200.
Yeah.
But I think I'll get at least close to that.
That way it's easier for you to shop, you know?
Yeah.
Now, they had 2 checkout areas too. And I told her that since I already had stuff down here in my hold area, she said she would bring it down here and add it to my other hold stuff, which mine is underneath that table there.
Where were we?
So she's She's going to set me up really nicely. She's going to use painter's tape, which was nice.
Kevin.
Kevin. Okay, Kevin. I'm going to block off this entire area.
I've been at estate sales where you have a hold pile and they whip out a marker and write your name right on the package. And of course, some instances that immediately takes all the value out of the item. So I use these IKEA bags, which they have a long handle and a short handle, and I always use the long handle to tie up the bag if I'm putting it into a hold area.
I'm going to block out this whole area
So
and write your name on it, okay? This whole thing. Yep, perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
she's got me all piled up there.
Shopping.
Okay.
Good to go. Now I can go shopping for other stuff. Now, you might have also seen I had 2 IKEA bags, and I put one inside the other, and once the one is filled up, I put that in the hold area, and I had the empty one to go do some more shopping. So this is, I didn't film this, I filmed this first occasion, but you're going to see me talking to this gentleman here who's pulling tools out of this toolbox. And I was really interested in the toolbox. They had it priced, the bottom box was $400, the middle box was $200, and the upper box I think was $150, including all the tools. And so,
Did you end up buying?
no sign on the actual thing itself.
Oh, I thought they had it all included.
So I'm asking him, did you buy the whole thing? And he said, no, I'm just getting
Yeah,
some
they said
tools.
it's a tool chest full of tools. I
And
don't know.
so it's one of those things where, I looked through there. I would have pulled tools out of there, but they listed it as including tools. They just didn't have any sign on it of any kind.
The way they listed it was
So I didn't tell him it definitely included tools, but I said I think they listed it that way. So I'm thinking about doing this in my shop as we're renovating. I'd like to have an area where I can at least have some tools readily accessible. Because I wanted to buy that toolbox, but I wasn't going to pay that much for it. They also had this other toolbox. It's funny because I've got bins just like that I'm going through right now. I got my plumbing bin, my electrical bin, my garden bin.
You gotta look too. You can't just.
That's housewares stuff, but he was just like into.
I'm thinking I might go back to this sale this coming weekend just to see if there's anything else I need. I like this company. It's basically a real estate company, so they're selling this house, but they got to get it empty first. Now that toolbox also included the tools, but a bunch of the drawers were now empty, so I don't know what was in them. I don't remember what was in them earlier, but now they're empty. So, note to estate sale companies: if you're gonna do that, don't do that. I think it's a waste of time for you, because you're not watching, and people want to see what the tools are. If you're going to include them, they need to see what the tools are.
Oh yeah. It's like sheet metal.
I thought about getting that. I bought a level at a garage sale, and as we were putting our door in at the new shop, I realized that level was not level. It freaked me out at first because I thought my framing was an inch off. I grabbed that. I was flying blind at this sale because I could not get any comps, no cell service. But it was such a nice condition Craftsman plane that I figured it was worth whatever I was going to pay. I looked. Yeah, you can hear him. He's putting everything back, and they wouldn't come over and put a sign on it. He got a little sticky note to write on there. I must have asked two more people that were pulling tools out of there. I said, hey, I think those are all together. So I don't know whatever happened. I bet they ended up just selling the tools out, and they were nice Craftsman tools. I just didn't need any. If I needed them, I probably would have bought the whole thing. I was looking at that hammer, and I've sold vintage hammers before, and I was shocked to see how much hammers sell for. People collect all the various types and years and models, and So that was a plum, and I probably should have grabbed it. You just never know. I think not having ability to comp things, I'm saying that in this video a lot. I probably should have grabbed that. My spidey senses didn't tingle on it like they should have. This really is my kind of sale. Almost nothing priced, and lots of variation on things. I looked through these shop manuals and auto manuals, and I did end up grabbing that Fisher body manual, mostly because I knew it was going to be worth something, and I wasn't going to pay very much for it. And I have a 67 Fisher body manual, and so I know I bought that one, and I bought a vintage copy of it because I wanted a vintage copy. There's something else I should have bought. I think I should have bought that. I got to remember that these do have considerable value. I don't know if my comp is specifically this one, but the older Hobart versions can be really valuable. I was laser focused on this fiber optic village, which I couldn't comp, but I decided to grab. Turns out though that fiber optic village, that was like a Target special, like you could only buy it at Target. Probably not worth anything. And I did find some comps, but I probably paid $5 for it, so not something I would have normally bought for resale. Should have got the KitchenAid, and I thought about it a little later, went back for it, and it was gone. So there was just a lot of everything. There's a ceiling fan that might have been good. There's a shop vac. Here's some markers. Yeah, those smell so good. I actually wanted to get a couple. They were just very light. I like to use those to mark out or mark over shipping labels on boxes that I use if I can't get the label to come off. There was a couple cool, very vintage golf bags too, but I'm not going to grab those. This guy, I think, was an electrician, so I ended up getting a lot of little small hand tools. You'll see them in the hall. These other toolboxes were not marked with tools, so I started looking at those, looking for tools in those things, these drawers. There was just a lot of tools, so if you kind of knew what you were after. I thought about this. It was a Nippon cassette deck for your car, and I still haven't found it, but one thing that you should look for are things like this Acura NSX factory stereo. Anything with NSX you probably want to grab. These were not NSX. These were just various radios. There's a little yellow sticky on there now that says tools included. I think the next guy that I talked to, that thing was right at his eye level, and I said, "Hey, I think that note says tools are included with that." And he's like, "Oh, I didn't see it." Such a funny sale. I ended up getting this amp meter. It uses a 9-volt battery. I should have at least pulled the battery out because it had part of the battery had come disconnected. So I got to do a little surgery on the battery connector, get that off of there, but I may end up keeping that. I've been looking for a clamp on amp meter, and that's not a bad one. Little things like that are great places to find tools. Now I got a ton of screwdrivers and pliers and wrenches and stuff, but I did end up getting some nice, you'll see in the haul, some nice electrician's screwdrivers, which I was looking for. So we're gonna get in line to check out, and it was impossible to get out of here. I ended up with a bunch of people behind me, and we had to wait forever for people to stop walking up and talking to this gentleman. So I just spent my time in line getting my stuff organized, ready, because most of it had no prices, and I wanted to make my checkout as quick as possible. Here's my stuff. Here's the stuff that's priced. Here's the stuff that's not priced. And we're back. It was an interesting estate sale this morning, and I think much of this you got on video. But let's take a look at some of the things, and I'll put up some comps. I think for everything we spent, which I did go back in after my camera died for a smaller bundle, but everything I spent was $225. But let's start here on the end. We paid $10 for this Miele Gemini vacuum cleaner, and it's got the hoses, it's got the electric power head, it's got another head, it's got pretty good condition. It looks to me like it's got some yellowing, which I don't know how bad that will affect the value, but a lot of times you can just sell all this and forget about this. But I think in this case, this is probably still worth selling. I think it's got just with that condition, I think it'll be fine for $10. And once I found out that was $10, I was excited to find more stuff. So unfortunately, this house is in a place where there's zero cell phone coverage for me. So I was going blind pretty much on everything. I never buy hats, but I felt like I had to buy these. This is a NFL authentic hat, and then this is a starter official NFL hat in pretty good shape. I didn't see this specific one, but I did see a lot of listings in the $40 to $50 range for that hat. So we'll see what we got here, but I'm not a hat buyer, but let's see what we can do with these. These basically, I don't even know if I paid anything for them because they just were in the bag. This was my reach of the day. I have no idea if this is worth anything or not, but I saw fiber optic and I thought that might be worth something. So again, that was just in the box or in the bag. I had seen this turntable on the listing photos and forgot about it, but when I was in the upstairs, I think this was on video, I asked if we could see what was inside, because this was sealed, and it looks like it might have been the factory seal, but that's okay. I probably would have opened it myself anyway, but it's brand new in the box. Everything's sealed up, looks great. I paid $50 for this. There's used ones without box or anything are going for in the $80 to $90 range. There's one listed open box like this for $200 with a lot of people watching it, so I think I could get close to $200. I paid $50. Up front here was just some random stuff. We're doing a little bit of electrical, so I grabbed these. Now I'm not going to use these because these are all double gang exterior outlet covers. But for what I know what I paid for the ones I bought, and so I will list these for sale. These are both basically the same, and then this is another version of that. But these I'll probably get $10 plus shipping for each of those. Unfortunately, this had rotted out batteries in it, and so it's probably not even going to be worth doing anything with. Unfortunately, I love selling those things. And then here's a Tiger electronic game, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Who Doesn't Want to Be a Millionaire is what I would have called it. And it's got one cartridge back there. I pick these up anytime I see them in fairly good condition. Some of these used tapes, these higher end tapes, you can sell this for probably $1 or $2 just for the tape in used condition. If you find these new, you're talking a lot of money. But I always whenever I find ones like this, I grab them, I bundle these up together, and then sell them in lots. So back here, this was the first thing I actually found, and asked for a price. He told me $50 and included this exterior box. Now we have our shop has a generator transfer switch, and our house has a similar one, so I don't need these, but I have sold these before, and so I knew $50 was a really good purchase, because this also has a bunch of stuff in it. I've sold these Gen Trans switches before, just the switch itself, for good money, $200. And this is the whole kit. And then I can also sell this separately, so I don't have to try to box it together. Everything is still sealed inside there. I think, I'll put comps up because I don't exactly know off the top of my head, but I'm sure over $200 for this. And then in front here, this was something I got on the way back in. Now it says $5 here, and it had tools in it. And so when I took it up to the front, he said, "Well, what's it got in it?" And he looked, and he said, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Well, isn't it $5? And he goes, "Oh, well, sure." So I got it with all this stuff inside for $5. Now, some of this stuff I don't have any need for, but some of it might be sellable. I don't know. I don't think this line tester really has any value. I think you'll probably see a lot listed of those, but you never know. One thing I was glad to get was this set of electrician screwdrivers, and you can tell they're electrician screwdrivers because they are completely insulated except for the very tip, so you're not going to get any stray voltage when you're dinking around inside the power panel. So I'm going to keep those. I do have a pair of them, but I'm always doing stuff I shouldn't, and so these would be nice to have. Lots of extra little bits of tools in here that I think will be useful for me. So that'll be a nice little $5 investment. Back here, I've sold these before. This is a GE Super Radio. This one's Super Radio 2, and so it's got the antenna, of course. I'm not going to buy it if the antenna's jacked. But I think it even had batteries in it, and I checked, and the batteries were fine, and obviously they work. So probably I'm guessing about $70 to $80 for this, especially since we know it works. I had to buy a copy of the 67 service manual for Fisher Body, and so I knew that it would be worth picking this up because I think I probably didn't even pay anything for it, really. But this is probably worth $10 or $15. People who restore the cars or just want to have the original, like this is an original print. They don't want the reproduced print that looks terrible. All the photocopies are terrible. Now this does have a little bit of weirdness on the edge, but that's fine. I may have overpaid for this, but I've always wanted one, and so I may just end up keeping it. But this is it's one of the features is it's an amp meter, so you can just clamp over your wire and get an amp reading. So I paid $25 for that. It's probably worth $60. And then up front here, they had a lot of tools, and I saw this one high up on the shelf, really nice condition, Craftsman plane, and I'll give you the number here. It's a little bit hard to read, but you can kind of see it in there. I'm not sure if I can even read it, but I did look it up. I think it's a 187.37055 maybe, or 05. Some planes can be very valuable. I'm not sure if this one is, but it's in such nice shape, and it's a bigger plane that I thought it was worth grabbing because it was one of those unmarked things that I don't think I paid very much for. And then back here, I did pay $20 for this. We talked about getting one. Now I'm wondering, do I already have this? But we got a pasta maker, but we also have a KitchenAid mixer, and so we were joking about, should we just sell this pasta maker? It's really nice, and maybe just get the pasta maker for our KitchenAid. And so I bought this. We'll see what we do with it, but it's nice condition in the box, and I did pay $20 for it, which is probably pretty high for one of these, but worth it for us. And then I love getting these. This is a Kitchen Craft liquid core electric skillet. I've done pretty well with these kinds of things. This one is the 17884. I think it's an 11-inch. It's got the little vent lid. So I paid $15 for that. I'll put comps up because I don't exactly know, but I'm guessing $50. So pretty cool stuff. And all of this was $225, and there you have it.